So my background is in electronic and electrical engineering from the University of Strathclyde. My PhD was very much focused on developing flexible, stretchable electronic sensor systems, which lent nicely into then undertaking postdocs and an academic career focusing on developing novel sensor systems, really, which then became the basis for then moving into the biosensor field and starting Microplate Dx.
I'm a biomedical scientist by background, so recovering academic turned entrepreneur. My background is virology research, in that professoriate, working in academia, realizing that we need better interface and better utilization and translation of technology that we develop, because there is so much value and which can solve real world challenges. And alongside that, started working with the startup companies, advising. I'm very passionate about female entrepreneurship, so working with investing women angels, starting to invest as well as mentor and support companies on there. And through that journey, currently head of investments at Strathclyde, so invest into startup spin-outs company. But I met Stuart at the Converge Challenge, and we got talking after that, because my background being, I would say, microbiologist and virologist, there was a natural match for antimicrobial resistance. We got talking, and then he approached me for that, to joining alongside, contributing that commercial strength, and here we are.
So Microplate Dx is a University of Strathclyde spin-out company. There's 4 of us as co-founders, so there's myself and Poonam, CEO and chair. And we've also got Professors Damien Corrigan and Paul Hoskisson involved as well from a chemistry and microbiology expertise perspective. But in a nutshell, it was set up to be able to tackle the major global public health threat that is antimicrobial resistance, or AMR, namely the kind of silent pandemic, if you like, currently responsible for almost 1.3 million global annual deaths each year, but by 2050 that number could reach 10 million, more cancer and diabetes combined. At Microplate Dx, we're developing novel, cost-effective, rapid diagnostic tests that can be positioned at the point of care, so close to the patients, that give clinicians the confidence to prescribe the right antibiotic for patients in a time frame of minutes, significantly quicker than the current gold standard technologies that take days.
When a technical expertise is matched very well with commercial expertise and people who've been there, done that, the whole concept of thinking 2 steps ahead. I think we've managed to put together a very strong team. The technology, intellectual property comes from university, our strong team of founders in scientific CSO and CTO, and Stuart as CEO, and I'm with the chair, and we have managed to appoint a non-exec director, Professor Andy Porter from Aberdeen University. He's been there, he's worked with companies, and as a result we've managed to, with the great team, technology, and that vision of wanting to tackle and reduce this antimicrobial resistance with this innovative, wonderful technology, we are hoping that we can make the niche, and that's how we have brought investors along on the journey. We were very strategic about what our investors will be, because obviously there are a range of investors in Scotland, but we always from day one wanted to be a global company because it's a global threat and global challenge. So we have actually our very first investor, an English investors who are life sciences, and we wanted a specialist investor who is good on the cap table so that we can attract others. University came along on board. Similarly, in this round, we have the National Economic Development Agency, but we have the impact investor because our whole company is based on that. But we also have a US investor because that's where the market is.
On antimicrobial resistance is a major global public health threat here. So anything that we can do to get diagnostics, useful, cost-effective diagnostics, into clinicians and ultimately patients' hands will be of vast benefit to health services globally, but also to patients across the globe. So really, predominantly, it is about that healthcare piece. But I think going beyond that, it's about having a more equitable society as well. Antimicrobial resistance, it's a global issue. So whilst, as Poonam's touched on, we are based in Scotland, and we've got some fantastic healthcare partners already aligned in the UK and in Europe and looking at the US. But we want to go beyond that point very quickly. This is a global ambition that we've got, and if we want to tackle antimicrobial resistance and have true global impact, that's exactly where we need to get to.
We are touching on urinary tract infections. That's predominantly a female problem, and the UTIs are seen as a recurring problem that can happen and they are not prescribed there. So if we can bring this solution to market, how much misery can we stop, which doesn't lead to just death or threatening. It is a day-to-day burden on that. And second impact that we want to do, we built a diverse team here. As a female ethnic minority chair, I would say if we prove successful, which we intend to do, we need to bring that we need to change that, raising investor and showcase that, but also on scale, showing role modeling, proving that it is possible, and showing to investors we are doing everything right, so why can't it be successful?
I think my advice to other budding entrepreneurs would be, don't be afraid to ask for advice. You know, there's a very supportive ecosystem out there within Scotland, as testament to today, but beyond Scotland as well. I think the ecosystem is there to really help nurture and support young companies that want to go on a similar journey to what we've done at Microplate. So that would be my fundamental piece of advice. You know, it's not a silo. Ask for advice, and people will be more than willing to give you help along the way.
I think if I look at it both from the point of view where I give advice and I follow, is that have a plan, think ahead, but plans always fail. So think of plan B or plan C, and failure is not a bad thing. So I think that advice is not only for the entrepreneur, but it's for the investors and the culture of the ecosystem, that when we fail, we recycle entrepreneurs and we actually generate better company founders who will generate the second and the third company. So I think having that motivation and the mindset is the perfect thing that we can give.